All right, guys, I'm back here with another video, and today I'm going to talk about a topic that might be controversial to some. It's about Ottawa Senators head coach D.J Smith, my thoughts on him, and just it's kind of about can he get them to the next level, as you can tell by the title of this video. Because the reason why I say that is I'm not 100% sold on DJ Smith as a head coach, and as far as systems go, like X's and O's on the ice, the structure of the team defensively. As far as I just want to get this out of the way first. So as far as like being a player's coach, not being one of those toxic guys like a Mike Babcock or something like that, or a Bill Peters. I mean, he sounds like a really great guy, DJ Smith, as far as that goes, being a good player's guy. He's he's a guy that players seem to really like, and he said, he mentioned when he first became the coach, he mentioned the fact that he likes to be also a friend to the players, like, ask them how they're doing, just talk everyday life, not always hockey with them. So I think that's really good, and I just wanted to get that out of the way first. So he sounds like a really great person. But as for his on ice tactics that he employs for the Ottawa Senators, will they be good enough to get this team to the next level? And because one thing that really concerns me is their defensive play. And I know people are going to go ahead and say, like, oh, well, how can you say that the Sens were a bad team on paper last year? And you're absolutely right. They were a bad team on paper. I didn't expect a miracle. I mean, Barry Trotz couldn't have dragged this Ottawa Senators team to the playoffs, for crying out loud. So I don't think any coach would have been able to. And Trotz is one of the better coaches in the game, without a doubt. So, in my opinion, I think DJ Smith is a good head coach. I don't think he's a great one yet. Anyways, he's still a new coach. He just completed his first year. He's a new coach, so young in the industry of head coaching with a young team. So maybe he will get better. But I'm just going by this year. I think the Sens' defensive play could have been a lot better, despite them not having a good team. I always think, for me anyways, this is my personal opinion, a good coach can somewhat overcome a bad team. Now, if like, the Ottawa Senators were not an AHL caliber team last year, like we've seen some really crappy teams like the 14-15 Arizona Coyotes, the 14-15 Buffalo Sabres, like those were some teams where it wouldn't have mattered who you had coaching. Those teams were going to be bad offensively and bad defensively. The Sens were not great offensively this year. They were in the lower half. I think they ranked like seventh or something in goals for. Seventh last in goals for, I should say. And as for their goals against, they were second last only to the Detroit Red Wings, who were really bad defensively, like historically bad in every category. So for the Ottawa Senators, I mean, and DJ Smith, obviously their penalty killing was a big concern, but even 5-on-5, they gave up a lot of shots. And is that going to be really a style that's going to really thrive and make these young players thrive? Do they need to become maybe more of a puck possession team? I found a lot of times this year they would chip it in and chase. Is that going to work with young guys? Now look, carrying it in only works so far. Carrying the puck into the zone only works so far in the D zone, when you're carrying it into the other team's D zone. Because there are times where the other defenseman has a good gap on you and you got to chip it in, or else you're going to turn it over. You can't be stupid about it and just play the puck possession game so darn much that you're even going to risk a turnover in a prime area of the ice over it. There are times you have to chip and chase. But for the Sens, maybe they're going to have to get away from that a little bit in order to complement their younger players. DJ Smith might have to change that up. And they're just going to have to be a whole heck of a lot better defensively, too, as well, going forward. And when you look at all the Sens coaches from the past, they all got fired because they weren't good enough. They didn't coach good enough defensively, apparently. And, that was the case with Paul McLean, then Dave Cameron. And, every time they bring in a new coach, the mantra would be with that new coach, okay, we got to cut down on the shots against, cut down on the goals against, cut down the high danger chances against. And it all sounded fine and dandy, and I would always be excited. Like with Guy Boucher, it sounded like, okay, they're going to be pretty solid defensively. They got this 1-3-1 guy. He's a defensive nutcase. The guy loves defense so much. And then they were good defensively their first year, but then they were horrible defensively the next 2 years. And then they fire Guy Boucher, You bring in Mark Crawford on an interim basis, but then essentially DJ Smith essentially replaces Guy Boucher pretty much. And the mantra again when they hire Smith is we got to cut down the goals against, we got to cut down the shots against, got to cut down on the chances against. And they did that to some extent. They were on pace to be a good 20 or so goals better if had they played a full 82 game season. On pace to be a full 20 goals or so better than what they were last year under Boucher and Crawford. But like that's still not good enough. That's still pretty bad defensively. They're like 280 goals. That's really bad. And the Sens as a team, they were a bad team on paper, but my gosh, like I said, they weren't an AHL caliber team. They were good enough that they could have cut down the goals against more, maybe give up something like 255 or something. I point out the 15-16 Toronto Maple Leafs. That team on paper, in my opinion, was worse than this Ottawa Senators team on paper this past year. A little bit worse, not drastically worse, a little bit worse. And with Mike Babcock, I believe they only gave up like 246 goals against in that first year. So that goes to show you that better coaching can really help cut down on your goals against, even if your team isn't that sharp. If you have a lot of third line, hardworking type of players on your team, you won't be great offensively, but you can be better defensively. And so that's what concerns me about DJ Smith and the Ottawa Senators somewhat. To a certain extent, I'm not going to dump on the guy here. I'm not saying they should fire him either. Don't get me wrong in any stretch of the imagination like that. I think with DJ Smith, he's a guy that's still learning as he goes too, just like this young team. He's learning with this young team really, and he could get better next year, and maybe he will be the guy that gets them over the hump. But I'm just a little worried. Just it's kind of a conspiracy theory, I guess you could say, of mine, just because of the fact that he didn't do a super fantastic job defensively, even though the team was kind of bad. But I was hoping he could be a guy that could maybe force them to be better defensively despite them not having that great of players. But that obviously wasn't the case, so I was a little concerned about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below on this, if DJ Smith can be the guy to put them over the top, or will they need to replace him at some point. I hope not. I like DJ Smith. And again, like I said, I'm not implying they should fire him right now. He definitely deserves a chance to prove himself more past this 1 year. No question about that. But let me know what you guys think below. Did that concern you as well, like it did with me, how bad they were defensively, how bad they were on the penalty kill in particular? And are you concerned that will bleed over into the team the next upcoming years as long as DJ Smith is the head coach? But until next time, guys, please like and subscribe and share this video. That would really mean a lot to me if you do so, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.